Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome. Welcome here to the Wild at Heart Show. Real, authentic, uncut. This is the show for man, by man, about man here at USA Global TV and Radio. And yeah, thanks for joining in again. My name is Roland. For those of you who the first time see the show, my name is Roland. I'm the creator, the moderator, the host of the show. And the reason for that is, besides my main business in consulting companies and helping their stuff to develop in different areas, I dedicate my life to men's work, and I run an organization called Sparring for Men, where men meet online and talk about different topics. And we brought, actually a year ago, this also here on USA Global TV and Radio. I'm very happy about this. So before we start about today's topics and I bring the panelists on this show, I want to just announce something very important so I don't forget, and hopefully I don't forget it to announce it at the end of the show. Next Wednesday, we do the last Wild at Heart show for a certain period of time. The reason is I strongly believe when it's the best, we should stop when it's the best. And we had an amazing time the last year. And I was really, I felt very, very honored to do this show with my friends from different parts of the world. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you. Next week we do a wrap-up show if you want so, and you the audience are invited to join us. So please contact us at bonfiretalks.com. That's the website. Contact us if you want to join us on the show and talk about your experience, what you loved or didn't like, or what you would make better on the show. So next Wednesday, we do a wrap-up show here in USA Global TV and Radio, Wild at Heart, and you are invited as a guest if you want to join us and discuss with us what did you love on the show or what we could do better, and so on. So, but now for this show, the topic is, I wonder if she's flirting with me. And that's an interesting topic. You know, sometimes you go somewhere as a man and you're not quite sure, she's looking at you in the street, in a coffee shop, is she flirting or not? And we're going to discuss this from different aspects, from different angles, with two of my colleagues and friends from different parts of the world. So let's have a look what their experience is. And let's start with the experience from the US. Let's bring him from Texas. Red.
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy, Red. How you doing, man?
Exceptionally well, as always.
That's good. That's good to hear, man. Yeah, I love this, you know, because sometimes, you know, I was in Vienna the last 4 days, and I don't know if you've ever been to Vienna. It's a beautiful city, but the people are known for their negativism. And every time you ask something, I never hear something like exceptionally well. So I highly appreciate it. I love it because I'm a positive person too. And yeah, we all face challenges, but we are positive.
Yeah, I've been to Vienna many times. And I'm really not a cold weather person, but in the wintertime, the trees don't have leaves on them, and you can see the architecture. You can see a lot of the city that when you go back in the summertime, it's all covered up. You can't see it as much. So I think there's an advantage to some winter travel if you're particularly interested in the buildings and how the cities are put together, because a lot of times you drive by and that's all hidden because of the trees. And Vienna is a really good example.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. But not also also nature. I remember 2 years ago, I was in Poland, traveling around Poland with my motorhome, and I was on the border to Belarus, and on the border, half and half in Poland, half in Belarus, there's the largest jungle forest, whatever you want to call it, in Europe. And you only can go in with the guide. It's huge. They have more than thousands of wiesent. It's the European form of your buffaloes you have. You have bears and a lot of animals. but you're only allowed to go in with a guide. And the guy, and I was there in summer. The guy told me, "Come back in winter. There are no leaves on the tree. You see more animals." And the same with architecture. You see more. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was in Poland and leaving, and there was a just before you get to the border, maybe 10 miles from the border, a couple, 3 cars are stopped in my lane. It's 2-lane road. It was not the main highway. And I'm there for more than a couple of minutes wondering what's going on. There were some railroad things down, but nothing was going on. No signs, no bells, no whistles. And then all of a sudden, train came by. It wasn't a very long train. And then after the train left, I hadn't even really paid attention, but there's like a small 10 by 10 shack off to the side. This old woman comes out, and she has a little cane, and she's walking slowly, and she gets to the first part where the barrier is down, and then she hand cranks it up, walks over to our side of the road and hand cranks that particular one up, and then walks back into our house. And this was at probably 98. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. Actually, before we bring Chris on, and some parts of Poland are very modern, very rich people, and then you see very poor people, very simple houses. It's really a huge diversity in Poland. Absolutely. Anyway, okay, let's bring our guest from our panelist man from Germany, Chris. Come on, Chris.
Hi guys. First, I'd like to apologize to the audience that I am not using the correct background and I'm standing outside in the cold here in Germany on this wonderful Mercedes-Benz parking lot where I'm right now. Wait, maybe you can see the beautiful cars here.
Yeah, German cars.
So I'm on my way to a client, as I mentioned before, when we were backstage. I'm doing exceptionally cold. So as you can see on my jacket, we have here, I think it's about 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. So yeah, I'm on my way to a client. But of course I have to be here with you guys.
Yeah. Chris, highly appreciate it. I know that you're from the Emergency Club, but highly appreciate that you're here on the show. Thanks so much, man.
Of course I am.
It's going to be between 25 and 30 here. And I think our overnight low is 20.
Well, I got to do what I got to do. So
I understand. Everybody's got to do that.
Yes.
Okay, guys.
Okay, let's go.
The topic is, I wonder if she's flirting with me.
Well, so in my opinion, one of the good signs that she is she's making eye contact, like really eye contact, not as just a little flash, but really eye contact. So this is one thing. Then you have body language, like playing with her hair, stuff like that, playing with her jewelry or stuff like that. Those are all little hints she gives to a man, maybe, that she's flirting.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It's an interesting aspect, Chris, because I remember when I spent my time when I was young in the university in Spain, in Salamanca. I was studying there, and this that also goes from North Spain and also from South Spain, Andalusia. They're very open-minded. They look in your eyes, they smile, and this was my learning. They're not flirting with me at all. So it can be, yes, it can be, but it didn't work there. So everybody is open. They look in the eyes. They're smiling. They have eye contact. Not flirt. That's what I learned in my 20s. And I'm also, I always get feedback. Roland, you flirt all the time. I said, no. When I talk to somebody, male or female, doesn't matter. I look in the eyes. I have eye contact. I'm very with this person, but it was always misunderstood. But anyway, but it's but you're right, Christian. I mean, if there's no eye contact at all, there's no flirting, of course.
Well, not necessarily, because it's a subjective thing, and what you would interpret as flirting or somebody interpreting you flirting is subjective, and it's a natural thing because it's our subconscious mind does it. It's the way our brains are wired. It's a natural instinct. I mean, if you look at the big scheme of things, we're out there trying to weed out the people we don't want, trying to find the ones that we want to spend the rest of our lives with. And this is kind of like the opening salvo of that particular process. And yes, it's eyes, it's behavior, it's body language. But for most of us, and I think, we see it all the time, even if you're married with 3 kids with you, sometimes it's just done for amusement. It's not for the more serious intention of shacking up with somebody for a night or whatever. It's, there's the touching and the looking, and but there's just so many things there that bring up to, the laughter and the compliments. And it's kind of, I mean, you can sit there and almost analyze it like a science. If you had a camera with two people, well, see her feet are pointing away from you, so she's not actually. Anyway, it's interesting the way you can look at some of these things, and depending on where you are, if you walk into a bar by yourself, and there's a bunch of women, that's a different environment than if you're walking into church and there's a bunch of women. So it sort of depends on what your environment is, how you're dressed, who you're with. We here in the United States do a lot of in-person networking, and you walk in the door and you kind of do a quick scan of, okay, who's here I don't know, who looks like I want to know them, male or female, who has the most amount of people around them. You kind of do a lot of figuring, and then you just kind of wander into to an event. I mean, I go to an event on Friday mornings here that may have as many as 200 people in person, and it's just, you walk up and you kind of just inject yourself into the conversation, 2 or 3 or 4 other people. Now, can you flirt that way? Absolutely, no doubt about it. But what is your intention? Are you networking to get business? Well, maybe there's that part also. But are you networking, to develop, to find a relationship? Being a young pilot, there were a lot of young ladies at the officers' clubs looking for husbands because that was their way out of town to latch onto a Navy guy and ride for whatever it's worth down the road. So it sort of depends on where you're at, but again, it's so very subjective.
So you mean Red, flirting without the intention of becoming a couple, so just getting eye contact and flirt just to contact?
I think there's 2 distinct ones. Number one, I think most of it's for amusement. I think we have a flirting natural thing because that's just the way our bodies and our brains are wired. But when you get serious about something, okay, fine, Christian, I want to go find more about him. That's when you start seeing the more intense, where the touching of the arm or the shoulder. That person is listening to Christian's friends. They'll buy you a drink or you buy them a drink. A little teasing here, there, and yonder. They want to know more about your deal. That's where things start going out of the amusement range, and I believe, and into something more serious. It's no longer done for fun. It's done because they're looking for somebody that's compatible with them. That's what I think. And so when we start doing that, now it's becoming out of the subconscious. This is just what happens. You look around. Well, you see somebody. Well, maybe they're not looking at you. They're looking at your glasses. They're looking at your shirt. Maybe your haircut. There's something there that reminds them of somebody else. And so they kind of do another back to look. Is that who I thought it was? And maybe we misinterpret some of those things. But yeah, there's different levels of getting in, eye contact, just back and forth, a little body language, as Christian mentioned, with the hair and the jewelry and other things, compliments and favor. Will you do me a favor? Well, now you're starting to get, I think, into something more serious realm of things. But you can have a wonderful time just bantering back and forth with the flirting mentality. If all it is for the 2 hours you're going to be there, and then you get on the airplane and go someplace, our bodies are kind of wired that way, and that's what we do. And it's just, I'm sure that if you add a bunch of women on the show here doing the same thing we're doing, they tell you the same thing.
Okay. I give you a second, Chris, before you step in. I Googled it. I just asked Dr. Google about flirting, and it says flirting or coquetry is a social and sexual behavior involving spoken or written communication as well as body language. It is either to suggest interest in a deeper relationship with another person, or, if done, as you said, playfully for amusement. It usually involves speaking and behaving in a way that suggests a mildly greater intimacy than the actual relationship between the parties would justify, and so on and so on. Interesting. Chris?
Oh, well, I absolutely agree with what Red said. But as I see it, it starts by far earlier. So for me, it's a energetic thing as well. So if a alpha male, let's call him that way, enters the room, and you have this video cameras that Red mentioned, you will see a reaction on almost every woman there because they sense the energy of this male, and they start reacting absolutely unconsciously. So this is the very early part of flirting, because I think flirting is besides to this fun thing, a selection, like selecting out which is the male or the female that possibly provides the best babies. So it's a very like I don't know, animalic like thing. So it comes deep from the unconscious. So this is the very start of flirting. And I've been to an actors class. They're using this. I'm sorry, there's a helicopter up there. I hope it doesn't bother the...
All good, all good.
Okay. There was an actors school. They're using this energy thing, and they're using techniques from the Desert Warriors, and like working with their emotions and shifting their energy, lifting it up, getting it down, like high state and low state, stuff like that. It was so amazing how you can play with this. And if you transfer this to an everyday situation, like in a bar or something, you can really play with that, and you can really see how the other people are reacting. Like in this time, this is so amazing. If you're able to shift your energy and to shift your state, your environment is reacting just in time. This is really amazing.
So, Chris, you mean that what I understand you and read is that, first of all, flirting is a natural behaving. It's just part of our human being. I know that also birds are flirting, you know, and stuff like that. And animals. So it's first of all, it's a natural behaving. I guess we can do it consciously or unconsciously. Sometimes we're not even aware that we're flirting. Maybe we flirt, we're not even aware that we're flirting.
I think that's possible. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's a conscious thing. The more conscious you are, the better you will sense what's going on.
I think initially it's probably subconscious, but if there's a response, and now that person wants to take it further, now it becomes more of a conscious response as opposed to the natural aspect of our brain and how we interact with people. You know, and if all of a sudden, you know, that person gets closer or whatever may happen, there are signs, signals, whatever, that, okay, fine, now we're down to, you know, mellow state 3 on this highway of learning something more about somebody else.
Gentlemen, I have a question to you. Are you more, do you see yourself more as a proactive flirter? So you go to them, you have fun, it's just fun, you know, even humor? Or are you more a reactive flirter? So if you think, oh, you see a lady that has eye contact, you say, okay, you react on it, but you wouldn't start. What's your approach? Proactive or reactive?
I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah. Yeah,
I agree.
I don't think you go in there with a proactive mindset that you're going to do something. You respond to what's there. You know, if somebody starts teasing you, maybe you tease them back a little bit more, or maybe you decide that's not the kind of person I want to be with, and you just kind of exit stage left, and that's the end of story.
Well, so I hope I can talk about this on US TV. There will be a lot of flirting this night because one of my girlfriends, like girlfriends, just friends. She's a dancer in a table dance bar, and she's partying her birthday tonight. So we're gonna join in, and there is a whole lot of flirting going on. I can tell you.
Okay, cool. So there's a question: is flirting permissible when you are in a relationship?
Of course.
Of course it is. But
of course.
But sometimes sometimes you get some reaction, especially when your partner is very jealous, no?
I think if it's done for amusement and fun, and it's a short-lived thing, and 5 minutes later you're somewhere else, and it was just a 5-minute tete-a-tete that went on between a couple people, it's probably amusement. But if that person starts texting you and say, they're initiating something beyond that, no, that's something way beyond what I think is permissible. But in any environment, you'd be sitting there at a dinner table or something, and somebody says something, or you never know where things are going to go. And whether you're standing in front of somebody at a bar, in fact, that's part of the problem I think we have, because 20, 30 years ago, they started really hammering the sexual harassment at work. Whereas things were, you go down to the cafeteria, a lot of things were probably okay, not okay, but they started defining what is not okay. And that kind of put, I'm not going to say it stopped it, but it certainly made the picture much more clear of what was acceptable at work versus what's acceptable at the bar. And then, of course, then you have things even beyond that into stalking and other things. But I don't know that we're going to get onto online things. But right now, just talking about, flirting, somebody says something, looks at you or whatever. I think if it's in a fun, short-lived, amusing environment, whether they're there with their spouse or not, I think that's acceptable, permissible, if the word that you use, Roland.
Yeah, but the question is, when you are out with your loved one, with your wife, your girlfriend, on an event, are you flirting then? Yes or no? Or just flirting when you go out alone?
I flirt every time, all the time. It's healthy, and it keeps the relation alive. So, but to the sexual harassment, I just want to ask you guys your opinion, because I've been to my tax guy, so who's doing my taxes, and there was a female sitting right in front of me, and I was like, just what are you wearing in business? Because her boobs almost fell out, so I felt this totally inappropriate in this context.
Yeah, it's all part of whatever your policy is written at that work. If they permit
I was
body
feeling
parts to
uncomfortable.
fall out, then that's their level of sexual harassment. But
yeah, I was
generally
feeling
speaking,
uncomfortable because it's a business environment.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Chris, I don't care if it's a business environment or not, but the more the show, the less I'm interested.
Yeah, I get that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, if you're in business, be businesslike, be professional, and you're not there to solicit sexual advances or anything else. You're there for business. And
yes, exactly.
You want to go to the bar afterwards and let me go home and change clothes. That's a different animal. You're not at work.
It was 10 o'clock in the morning, and she left me sitting there 20 minutes. We had an appointment at 10, and she came into the room at 10:20, and she was like, okay, I'm late. And I was like, okay, how about something like, I'm sorry? Well, I'm late. Well, I don't work with these guys no more.
Yeah. As I said, when something like that, I'm off. I'm off. I remember when I was using apps like Tinder. I met my last girlfriend on Tinder, and and it was really funny when the first picture is just décolleté, the boobs, and I said, "What are you selling to me? What are you selling to me? I'm not interested." But that's a different topic. But gentlemen, the question is, I wonder if she's flirting with me. How do you react when somebody, or when you believe that somebody is flirting with you on an occasion, an event? Doesn't matter if you're alone or with your partner. What's your reaction? What do you think of what's going on in your head?
I'm nice. So if a woman
nice, Chris?
I think
it's like if a woman is smiling at me and she's not my type, so at least I smile back. I don't go any further, but I'm nice. I'm a human. She's a human. She's trying it like that, so I can be nice and go like, okay, but you're not my type, so I look the other way maybe, or stuff like that. So, but I can smile back, like, hey, I appreciate this. You're a nice person. I'm a nice person. Wait, but we don't match. Okay.
Yeah, I think Christian's absolutely right. It's a respect thing. It's another human being. They want to start something, and you're saying, I recognize what you're doing, but I'm not interested. Thank you very much. But I think you're respectful to that person. If they're looking at you, look at them. If they smile at you, you smile at them. If they ask you a question, you answer the question. But you don't have to go down the entire road where you're getting within a foot of each other and hands on the shoulders or whatever else. That's a choice you're making, as opposed to a subconscious response to some kind of behavior that's or actions that are going on right then and there. And they may mean it just for amusement because that's the way their psyche is. We as men, we don't know whether they're married or not. We know whether we are or not, or what our relationship is. But especially if you're with your spouse, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it may happen to be, there's a certain decorum you have to maintain there. It's just like you're being professional at work, you're being professional as a spouse.
Well,
Absolutely.
if I may put something else on the table with this flirting, if my partner is with me, as I was in a polyamoric. Oh, I'm sorry, in a polyamor relationship. So my girlfriend, she was like hunting. She was like, okay, she showed me a woman and said, hey, do you like this one? I was like, whoa, she's amazing. And she was like, okay, I go get her. So stuff like that. So, and then she started flirting, and she approached this woman and said like, hey, come on over, stuff like that. So it's a game.
Yeah.
I think it can be a game if you proceed beyond just the initial, say, 1 or 2 minute interaction. Now it is a game for whatever purpose that person is playing that game.
Yes.
It may be strictly for amusement, strictly to see how far something but then again, if you are giving off the wrong signals, especially with your spouse there or your partner, there's just things have reactions, and life is hard enough without having extraneous and distractions, things that can easily be controlled.
Yes.
Gentlemen, whatever intention we assume when a girl is flirting with us, does it boost your egos? To be honest,
Yes.
Mine too. I would say yes, but depending on the level, it's a number 1 or number 10 girl, but it does.
No, I absolutely disagree. It boosts my ego. It's if at first I don't like the term like a number 1 or number 10 girl, because they're all beautiful humans. Maybe she's not my type. Okay, stuff like that. But if someone is trying to approach, making a connection, hey, that's a compliment.
Of course, yeah.
And
even if you're just playing.
And I think over time, if you are in the same group of people, whether you're at work or whether you're like, in the early military, we would go out at O Club, Officers Club, and there might be 30 or 40 couples there, their wives and stuff. And after a while that some are not flirting. That's just, they have their 3 kids and they're happy with their life and they're just having to get out and have dinner that night. And other ones they're still no kids, and they're still in that flirting stage, and they are just fun, and they're just going around having a good old time. And that's the way they always are. And I think that you start understanding what is the room and what's, there's some single guys there, and there are probably some single girls, but you're not going in there to selectively cull out the herd. You're going there to have dinner, drink, and be social. And so if somebody, taps you on the shoulder, say, hi, who are you? Yeah, there's that feeling of being picked out and being recognized. And I think so long as it stays in that, not millisecond, but very short duration, and that, especially if that person, turns to the next person and wanders off, okay, fine. Yeah, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree with you, Red.
There's some girls about flirting, and most of them told me, even when the relationship, sometimes they really flirt because it boosts the ego. It feels good. It gives them a good feeling. Doesn't matter that they want to cheat on it, but it gives them a good feeling.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
guys, my arm is almost falling off, like holding the smartphone.
Well, I was thinking I was going to go into the same thing Christian's talking about right now, because we have this, you walk into an area, table, bar, whatever, but what happens when, you get back home and now on your phone, because you gave somebody a business card or you gave them your phone number or whatever, now there's a text there. And how do you handle that? You're on social media, and somebody comes up and, all of a sudden you're starting to get likes from somebody that I just met that person yesterday. I think for in person, there's a certain time limit and it's gone. But I think that we're starting to see with social media, people are sitting there and they're just texting and going crazy. And you start now having, dozen likes, you have being tagged at some place because you happen to be in I think that's beyond what we consider here to be flirting. And so it goes over into the next area of technology, not something that was readily available, 20, 30 years ago, but something that we're seeing more of today. And I think that also enters what happens if you get a text from somebody that you just met that's an attractive young lady? how do you respond to that?
Well, when I'm a single, I respond depending. Yeah, I will respond on it. When I'm on a single and I said, okay, let's meet up and let's check it. But when I'm in a relationship, how I respond then?
Yes, I am. It's part of our
I'm
relationship.
responding, of
It's
course,
part of
but
our relationship deal.
But to make the situation clear. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, is it flirting when somebody comes at you, Christian, saying, I disagree with you?
That's okay.
I think that there are some times when flirting can actually be a disagreement because they want to know more about you.
Yeah.
And one way of doing that is innocently, Christian, I heard that you don't like this or whatever. Could you tell me why?
Yeah.
And that becomes, you think it's non-sexual and you're defending your particular perspective or belief. But I think that opens the door a lot of times because now somebody knows a lot more about you than you were willing to share over a drink at the bar. And so I think there's some subtle ways of flirting that we don't even consider nowadays.
It's a conscious thing again.
Yeah.
So if somebody is willing to hold that camera for you out there in the cold weather, they're really interested in you, Christian.
No, there are guys, they're driving their Mercedes around here. They're going like, blah, blah. So I always mute my mic, I hope, right on time. So,
Red, coming back to your question. So when somebody approaches you on social media because you met and then you give the address, or she finds you on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever social channel, and she's approaching. I mean, depending on the intention. I mean, when the first approach is clear where she's targeting, I will stop it. When I'm in a relationship, I will stop it immediately because first of all, it's unfair when somebody believes that you're open to it, but you're not. That's unfair. It's unfair to the person approaching. It's unfair to the partner. So we have to make it very clear. But I remember I always had troubles with my jealous girlfriend because she was thinking when somebody approached me, I am reacting on it. They said, no, I'm just friendly, but I have no intention. But I guess it depends also on your partner. When your partner has a good self-esteem and she can handle it, it's also different than when you have a jealous person.
Well, we do have the advantage on some of the social media being able to block people, which helps.
Yeah.
It seems like I get a lot of people, particularly on LinkedIn, they want to sell you the world, whatever their product is, the minute they meet you. Or somebody wants to, well, do you have WhatsApp? Do you have this yet? No, I email and phone number. You want to call me? Call me. Don't text me. Keep it as professional as you can with whatever your norms are. But there's just a lot of people we run into, and sometimes I'm sorry I don't have a product or service to offer you that's much more expensive than yours. I'm just amazed at how people, here I am, buy my stuff. I don't know anything about you. It's interesting. That's not flirting, but that's just part of that online mindset that we're seeing. And if that's the mindset for business, then that mindset also extends over into the flirting world.
Well, when somebody approaches me on social media or in LinkedIn or on whatever it is, and you just send a request and I accept it, and the third thing they approach me with trying to sell me something, I just block them immediately. I blocked them immediately. Absolutely. Sorry, Chris, I interrupted you.
So Christian has a bar dance or a pole dance or something he's hot to get to, so he needs to go warm up.
He will be hot soon.
I know these guys on Facebook and stuff like that trying to sell you things. Sometimes I play it like, okay, I'm open to this guy, and then I'm selling my stuff. So it's all about communication skills,
Yeah, you can go the other way around. Yeah, absolutely.
But there are some saying, I'm not interested, and then they come back again and again and again, and that's when I block.
Yeah.
If they can't take the hint when you specifically say, no, I am not interested.
Yes.
No, I'm absolutely not interested. Okay, block.
Yeah.
They don't have a sense of no.
It's respectless.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of respect with flirting because it's a human nature thing. It's natural. It's our subconscious response. And if it's part of the dating ritual by which you're trying to find that perfect mate, to live with the rest of your life, to have kids, I think that that's the beginning of going down a road that you're going to enjoy the rest of your life. Because if you find something right away that, it's not what I want, then before you've invested a lot of time and energy into something. And so I think flirting has its purposes in life, and especially with the human brain, the way we're wired.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we have to recognize it.
Gentlemen, I want to come back to flirting. How do you react, or how do you feel when you recognize, oh shit, a man is flirting with me in the bar?
I don't know. I honestly don't think I've ever had that happen.
Do you know what my experience is with men flirting? They're honest. They come to you, they tell you what they want, and if you don't like it, it's fine. And if you like it, it's fine either. So they're very straight. So they come, they talk to you. Hey man, you're looking good. I want to go like backstage or something. They're straight.
Well, because I remember when I was in my 20s and I was working for a company, I was presenting products in front of an audience. A lot of men went behind the stage and watching me from behind and flirting like crazy. I didn't react on it, but yeah, it was funny. But Chris, you're absolutely right. Men are more direct, and there is less, how you call it, foreplay. They just go straight. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, when I was overseas, particularly in Thailand and Philippines and that part of the world, you have some men that will dress up as women. Yeah. And there was a saying in Thailand when I was there, it says, the really beautiful women aren't.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I mean, we're into this, transgender thing now where people, I feel like they look like women and they acted like women. And they were beautiful beyond just women, but they were men.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that culture protected those people, particularly in bar areas and things like that. The bouncers and stuff looked out after those individuals.
Absolutely.
But it was their business of whatever they were at that time of selling themselves to you. And it just, but again, that was the culture there. I mean, so anyway, but I see we're getting.
Another question I have, because it happens very often to me that kids starts flirting with me. They have eye contact, they're giggling, they're flirting. How react to that? Because actually today, we have a lot of kids traffic, abusement, stuff like that. It's just a thin line. But kids love to flirt. They have eye contact, they love googling, they're waving or stuff like that. I always love it because I love kids in general. How do you feel comfortable in this situation?
What I'm assuming is that you have somehow a connection from flirting to sexuality, and that is not in my world. That's not the case. So flirting is flirting, and sexuality is a completely different thing.
Yeah, for me too. But it's a common sense, and it's also description on internet. It has a sexual.
Yeah, so the internet isn't always true.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man. That's true. That's true. Because I love flirting with kids, but it's just so funny, when they're giggling and they're hiding their eyes and stuff like that. I love kids.
Well, maybe you're using the wrong word as opposed to teasing them or something like that, because flirting, I think, does have a sexual connotation to it to a degree. But if you're just teasing somebody because of whatever, the way they speak, the way they act, whatever it is, I think, and particularly with kids, there's a certain amount of teasing that go on that's strictly asexual, and probably enjoyable to some degree because you're seeing the enjoyment the kids are getting out of it.
Yeah, and it also starts bonding.
So, can't believe we're at the end of another show.
Man, we're that was fast.
It was.
Gentlemen, we're coming to an end. Thanks a lot. And maybe you heard me in the beginning. I had a spontaneous idea for the next show. As we do it the last show, it was an amazing journey the last 50 weeks. Really a lot of fun. And my idea is that we invite our audience, if they want so, to contact us on bonfire.com if they want to join us on the show and talk to us, give us feedback. If they get a benefit out of it, if they had insights from our discussion, did something change in their life as being a man, or change something in their relationship to the.
Yes, that would be amazing. Yeah. That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I would love.
And what were their best parts of the show? What did we talk about that really, entertained them?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you are invited to join us, and not only men, we also invite women. When you say, "Hey, this was cool," I learned so much about you. My relationship to my husband, to my boyfriend, is much better because I get a better understanding. You're also invited to join us next Wednesday, same time, same procedure, and we're gonna have a fun discussion here live on USA Global TV and Radio, Wild at Heart, real, authentic, and uncut. Right,
Cheers.
Chris, thanks a
Ciao.
lot. Warm up, Chris, at the table dance. As soon as
No,
possible.
first I gotta see my client, guys. I'm
Yeah,
racing now.
Thanks a lot. See you
Bye-bye.
soon.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone. Bye.